Welcome to PA Timber Goose, another lovely Sunday morning. Today we're going to fly fish the Swatara, and the water seems to be down low and it's supposed to get very warm today. No chest waders today. Went old school and I have my hip waders on. Got to let some of the heat out. Not too many people here. Saw some critters this morning. Saw a bunch of deer, a couple snakes. And we're going to fish some of these pockets and pools. So we'll try to fish a few sections of this and see what we can pull out of here. Got my 9-foot 5 weight today, my Reddington rod. And we're going to throw a few streamers in here, maybe a weenie or two, a green weenie or two. See a lot of minis along the shoreline, so that's always a good sign. I'm not sure if there's any trout in here, but hopefully there's a bass or some shiners or something in here. Any fish is a good fish for me. Even the little ones are lots of fun to catch on a fly rod. So let's find a spot here and we'll set up our leader and the fly. It's getting warm really fast. Okay, there we go. Now you can see me. It's getting warm very fast. And I'm not sure how long I'm going to hold up in the heat. I was out doing some yard work yesterday. And I think I did a bit too much. I don't know if I was getting a heat stroke or not, but I'm not a guy that likes the sun. I will take cold weather, snow, freezing rain any day of the week over the heat. So this time of year I try to fish early in the morning. Or just before it gets dark. There's usually a lot of bugs that hatch. I work in an industrial complex, and there's some ponds near where I work, and overnight we get a lot of green drakes that land on the glass. And anytime you see any kind of mayflies landing on your building, there's always water nearby. Mayflies don't have a mouth. It doesn't really matter what they are. I think the ones that landed on our building were a brown drake or a green drake. I didn't look at them too close, but they generally don't have a mouth. They hatch and mate and lay their eggs within 24 hours and then they die. So they don't really need to have any mouth parts. And then they live in the stream, and I heard something jump over there. Hopefully that's a fish. And then they die and reproduce, then they die and fall in the water, and then the fish eat them. The Susquehanna, they get very heavy hatches of, they call them a whitefly, and they actually cause some severe driving conditions. So I know the Wrightsville Bridge, the older one, they turn the street lights off. They have to scrape them off the road because it can cause traffic accidents. I don't see the hatches like I used to along the east branch of the Brandywine with the west branch. There's a lot of pollution in the Brandywine. And some of it's ag pollution, some of it's residential pollution, and they would be herbicides, pesticides. People put them in their yard, make your yard look nice and green, and then when it rains it all goes in the stream and it kills everything in the stream. The east branch of the Brandywine around the 4th of July used to have very heavy hatches of spinners, and they're very easy to tie. Everything in the stream would eat those spinners, and they were a lot of fun to catch. That was a very good hatch to fish. I'm going to put some 6-pound leader on. Excuse me. Can get this off the spool here. I don't fish a lot of dry flies anymore. I just don't see the hatches that we used to get a few years back, and the Fish Commission does not put a lot of trout in like they used to. Most of them get pulled out of there and not released, so the trout tend to get fished out fairly quickly. Tie on my 6-pound fluorocarbon leader here. Scientific Angler. It's a 4X, so the leader breaking strength is 6.7 pounds. It's a very thin diameter, and it's actually very strong. It's almost invisible in the water. pretty quiet in here today. Saw a few people. This is the second video from Swatara. We're going to be fishing the Swatara today. Alright, let's see, crank up our leader here. See how much leader I need on this. Caught on the root here. There we go. I don't want my leader longer than my rod. Some people can fish these long leaders, I cannot. It makes it very hard to control when you cast. You know, basically, if you have a really long leader like that, then it's like fishing a spinning rod. You lose a lot of leverage on your fly rod because your leader is so long, and your fly line actually controls your line, not your rod. The rod just kind of makes your line go where it's supposed to. Here's my leader. Pull out our Hemostats. You can buy these at Harbor Freight. These are about $6 or $7. Much better than pliers. You can clip these right on your vest or your shirt or your belt, wherever you want to clip it on. I have my GoPro harness on. I'm going to snap this on my GoPro harness. I fish a lot of the same streamers. Basically, most of my streamers are S-Taz flies. I have a white S-Taz fly. Usually when the water's very deep or it's running really fast, I'll fish this. All these are minnow imitations. Most fish are genetically programmed to chase anything that looks like a bait fish, any shape, and it's fleeing. The sparkly color on here actually represents the scale, so when it's going through the water, it looks like sparkly fish scales going through the water, and the rabbit tail is very hard for them to resist. Basically, it's a spin-off of a woolly bugger, however you want to pronounce that. But sometimes I have some black ones. Sometimes I have some olive color woolly buggers, but they don't seem to work as well as this pattern here. I can't remember whose fly this was, but I found this in a fly fishing magazine that was free when I was beginning to fly fish, and I kind of changed it to make it easier, and I've caught most of my fish on this fly. Dry fly fishing is a lot of fun, but it takes a lot of patience, and you actually have to have fish that are actively feeding on those flies, where there's a hatch going, and most of your hatches usually come in a big pool, which is usually at the end or the beginning. A lot of times I prefer to fish the ends of the big pools because that's where most of the fish seem to be laying and picking off whatever's floating downstream to them. Alright, let's tie our leader on here. It's going to be a scorcher today. And I'm not sure how long I'm going to fish today. This video might be very short or it might be very long. If the fish are biting, it'll be a long video. If they're not biting, this could be a very short one. I have a habit of snooping around and looking at stuff while I'm fishing. I get distracted very easily. Hunting season is right around the corner, and I saw some nice deer this morning. I have my first antlerless tag, and I believe next Saturday the second round will go out. So I'm really looking forward to that. What I need is a new bowstring. They become very expensive for my Excalibur crossbow. They're around $30 or $40, and I used to buy them for about $20. I can get this leader tied. A little bit of saliva. Not too many mosquitoes this year, thank goodness. It's becoming a very dry year. I think we're going to be going into a drought here soon. Some of my garden's starting to look a little rough, and we have some crazy weather conditions. I still have no tomatoes out of my garden, but I do have a lot of peppers. Peppers are much easier to grow than tomatoes. Tomatoes can be very finicky. Usually by the 4th of July I have red tomatoes, and we're almost into August and I still have no tomatoes. Alright, that's set up. There's a cool rock over here. Let me see what this is. Never know what you're going to find in the water. Thought maybe it was a fossil or something, but it's not. Okay, let's turn the camera around here. And I see a lot of bugs out there. I'm going to fish that little chute there. There's a little channel going right past that maple tree leaning over the water. And we'll see what we can catch here. We will change camera mounts. We'll set the GoPro up right in front of there, and you can watch that. Some of this video will be on the tripod and some will be on my chest mount with the GoPro. Funky shiner. Any fish is a good fish to me. One spunky shiner. Got him on the 3rd hit. There you go, buddy. Live to fight another day. Savage strike. Probably another shiner. So, yep, shiner number 2. number 3. This is a lot of fun. We're all putting up a good battle. Not bad. Had put up a good fight. They're all about the same size. They're about 7 or 8 inches, and you could actually see the take. They really hit that hard. I have a rock in my boot. It's trying to get my attention. I got to get the rock out of the bottom of my boot. It's digging in my foot. So we'll be right back. Really getting warm. I'm trying to stay in the shade as much as I can. Got a new battery in the camera, and we're going to get to the chest mount now. There's a big slow spot. I like to fish my way down the edges. I only have hip waders on, so I can't wade really deep today. The water's fairly warm, and probably most of the fish I'm going to catch today are going to be shiners. I pulled 3 6 to 8 inch shiners out of that hole. Every one of them gave me a good battle. Nothing big enough to spin my drag, but still lots of fun. It was a pretty heavy take. Sometimes when you walk down along the rivers like this when the water's low, if you look in these rocks in here, a lot of times you can find fossils. And usually the fossil is a branch, or it's a fern, or some kind of bark in the rock. There's always interesting things along the Swatara, but you can only find them when the water goes down. And the rocks are fairly clean. The mud hides all the fossils in the rocks. So let's fish this hole and give this texture fly line a workout. It is very noisy when it goes through the guide. You can actually hear it sliding through the guides. Cast fairly easy through the guides. Definitely worth the money I spent on it. If you have the old smooth style fly line, try a textured line, and you'll be surprised how much further you can cast with much less effort. The true test will be how much grime can I get on my fly line, and we'll keep sliding through the guides with ease. So we're going to give it a try today. Lots of cool stuff in here. I'm on the other side of the river now. This looks like a overflow of the river. Walking in the shade, much cooler. I got a few bites out of the last hole, but it was probably a tiny fish, or he just wouldn't, I couldn't hook up with it. So we're going to go downstream, see if we can find another spot that doesn't look like it was fished very heavily. There's a lot of bait containers on the bank there, so whatever was in there gets hit pretty hard. This is actually a great place to walk. You can see how flat this is. This is very easy walking, and when I go back up, I think I'm just going to follow this dry stream bed up there. Here's a nice spot here. Let's take a look at this area here. Some of these you can see right in the bottom, and you can tell if there's anything in there or not. It's just not looking fishy. I think I want to have to hike downstream and find a big pocket or a hole here. Kind of like the other one where I had a chute under the tree. So we're going to walk all the way down around the bend, and we'll see what's down there. The Swatara is usually, most of the river looks like this. It's slow, wide, and flat. There's not a lot of rapids in here. So hopefully I can find another deep pocket to fish, one that doesn't have A lot of signs of other people fishing there. So we'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to go for a stroll downstream here. Giant crayfish. I'm actually surprised there's anything in here. Let's see how close we can get to this giant crayfish. He has something in his claws. I'm thinking it's a minnow. He's crawling under that rock there. There he goes. One giant crayfish right there. That's a big one. I haven't seen a crayfish that big in a while. I bet he could pinch the heck out of your finger. Yes, sir. He's trying to crawl down there in the rock. When I saw him, he had a minnow or something in his claw. He's coming over, getting closer to my boot. Let's see if he goes under my boot. He's checking me out. You see his little antennas going back and forth? Not sure what that big boot is. What's he gonna do? One big old crayfish. And yes, the GoPro is waterproof. Hopefully no water got in the camera. And he's still by my foot. We're going to continue downstream and see what other kind of critters we can find. Fish off. I could see that one. I could see that one follow my fly up. That's a small shiner. Let's see if there's another one hiding in there. Fish on. There we go. Another shiner. This would be number 4, I believe. He's not putting up much of a fight. There he goes. There he goes. I'll take shiners all day. They always bite. Lots of fun to catch. I hear some people in the background. There's another one. Bike trail must be above me. There he goes. And here's the killer fly. Just when I thought I was alone in the woods, I am not. Alright, let's roll another cast out here. Maybe there's a bigger one hiding in there. See if we can get a longer cast. That's about 20-30 foot. There's the one. As soon as that fly hit. Fish on. Yeah, here's a feisty one. Come on, baby. Hopefully you can see him. You can just get my big hand out of the way from the lens. Here he comes. Come on over here, son. There we go. A little bit bigger. He's about the size of the ones I was hooking this morning. I believe that's number 5. Ooh, easy off. That's the best kind. Alright. Let's throw another cast out there. Big difference between a 9-foot rod and a 7-footer. You have a lot of power with this. You can really hammer your flies out there. There's another one. As soon as that hit the water, I seen a silver flash. Should be something in here. There's a snag in the water. You can see the water going up against it and then swirling across, and it's still on the other side. So there should be something out here. Let's put a couple drifts through here. That line is very noisy. I guess I won't hear that after a while. Get a little closer. There we go. Maybe there's a smallmouth in here. You like to hide in cover like that. That's a better cast. Here's my line. Nope. Fish off. There we go. Fish on. Got him. That was a good take. Nothing like a jumping shiner. Get a better look at him here. Most of these are all in the jaw. Very easy release. No damage to the fish. Changed my fly out. I have a white S-Tast streamer on now. I lost a gold one on a back cast. I got one more pocket to fish down here. We're going to go fish that shoot around a corner, and that's probably going to be as far as I'm going to walk. There's a small set of rapids here. No major drops. Most of the river's flat like this. There's no really big rapids on Swatara. And I'm going to fish around the snag out here in the corner and right behind it. This will probably be the last hole I'm going to fish, and we're going to start heading back upstream. The bike trail's right on the other side. If you want to fish Swatara, you can basically ride your bike almost the whole length of it, and just lock your bike up somewhere. And any spot that looked interesting, just stop, throw in a line. There's some interesting looking rocks here. You don't see rocks shaped this way very often, and that's kind of odd. There were a few fossils up there underneath a bridge where I started wading down the stream, and always cool stuff. You wonder how the rocks end up that shape. They almost look like they came out of a quarry. There's another one. There's a bigger one here. All right, we're gonna float this section here. I have the GoPro on the tripod now. I have a big bank here to set my camera tripod on, get a better view of the stream. And I think when I go out, I'm just going to walk up the bike trail. It's much easier than trying to bushwhack my way back upstream. There's a few people drifting by on bikes, so if you hear some talking in the background, that's what it is. Bike trail's about 50 yards away, and definitely a better way to go than fighting your way back up the stream, fighting the water. I think I've caught about 15 shiners so far. Shiners can tolerate a lot of pollution in the water. I'm not actually sure if pollution level in Swatara is very bad. I do see a lot of very nice crayfish in the water, and lots of minnows and other signs of life in the stream, but unfortunately I have yet to catch a smallmouth or a trout for that matter. Still a very nice place to go, and a great place to wet wade, bring some water shoes and just fish down the edge. Bring a lunch and just relax along the stream. Okay, that's the last spot I'm going to fish today. Let me take my GoPro harness off here. Let my shirt dry out a little bit. It's very warm. It's very warm today. Hopefully you enjoyed catching some shiners on the Swatara. And no smallmouth or anything in here. This stream mostly has shiners in. I've never actually pulled anything else other than that out of here. I don't believe it gets stocked with trout. Lots of minnows in there. Everywhere you look, there's all kinds of minnows swimming around. It looks like a big aquarium, and there are a lot of big crayfish in there. I saw a couple that were pretty big. When I get back, I'm going to see if I can catch one of them and get a closer picture of it on the GoPro. Okay, let's talk about fly lines. Do I need a bright fly line to make my cast better, or pick up the strike of the fish quicker on the fly rod? Not necessarily. I started with a pink fly line, and I was just throwing bait and split shots, so it really didn't make a difference. My fly line was never in the water. I had a big leader on it, and the tip of my fly line was always above the water. Do bright fly lines scare fish? To some extent they do. If they've been heavily fished or caught before, you know what that bright fly line is. I've seen yellow, I've seen flaming orange, some with stripes, which are usually an indicator line. Yellow will scare the fish. I've seen guys use that. Usually it's a new guy fishing that bright yellow fly line, and as he's rolling his fly out there, you can actually see the fish dart away from the line. So I would say that it does spook them. I prefer dark green fly lines. This one here actually isn't the color I wish it was. This is buckskin on the end. The middle of it's green. My small fly rod, I have a green camo line, and that's for close-up fishing. I think the darker your fly line is, the more fish you'll catch. Strike indicators, if you need a strike indicator, you can put one on there. It all depends on the area that you're fishing in. If you're chucking and ducking like you're fishing in New York, you have a big streamer on the end and a lot of split shot. It'll help, but I put the stick-on ones that are foamed. They look like a little round dot, and usually you get about a dozen of them in a pack, so they won't damage your fly line or your leader. Some strike indicators can put kinks in your fly line, which will make a weak spot when you catch something big one. So I have used them in the past. I really don't care for them. Fly line doesn't really stretch. It's very rigid. I believe fly line is about a 50-pound test. It's very strong. I've never had anything break my fly line other than the one I had cut on a rock. And if you use nylon material or mono leader material, you may want to put one on there because your line will stretch. If you're not reacting fast enough to the strike, you can lose some fish. But since I switched to fluorocarbon, and I can feel everything that touches the end of my fly. If you have a hold of your rod in the right spot, and you have your 2 fingers on your fly line, you can actually see your fly line bounce, and it's so sensitive you can feel them pulling on the end. So it's up to you if you want a strike indicator. It may help, it may not. Bright fly lines, that's totally up to you. I really don't care for them. When I fished New York, I had a strike indicator on because we were fishing really deep, fast water, and the strikes usually came fairly quickly. But we had 20-pound fire line on the leader because the salmon were so big they kept snapping it off. So in that situation, it did help. But most of the small streams in Pennsylvania that are shallow like this, you really don't need that. The water's clear and the fish are already spooky because the water's shallow. Lots of predators. So there's some thoughts on fly line and strike indicators. Thanks for watching PA Timber Goose today. Thanks for coming along. If you're a new subscriber, welcome to the PA Timber Goose family. Like, share, and subscribe. It always helps the channel. Comments are awesome. Any questions? Put some comments on there and I will answer your questions. As always, thanks for watching PA Timber Goose, and we'll see you in our next video. Thanks for watching.